Hi, this is going to be a difficult video for me to do. I'm going to try and get through it without crying. I had not planned to do this video. I am grieving the loss of my beloved Australian Shepherd Major. He was 7 years, 11 months. He would have been 8 on St. Paddy's Day. Around January 2nd, he started to have issues. He was very active, very healthy, still acted like a puppy up until that point. I certainly assumed I had probably 5 more years with him. But he began deteriorating out of the blue around January 2nd. And my journey to heal him ended on the 20th. It took a toll, and it completely blindsided me. I've spent approximately $7,000, visited multiple vets. I visited the emergency room, I think, about 6 times, looking for answers to what was wrong with him, because I didn't want to put him down without knowing what was wrong, because it might be something that could be healed. Where I live, they can contract valley fever, so that could have been it. And that has really odd symptoms. And most can survive it. On the 20th, it became clear that he was suffering too much. And my last visit, second visit that day to the emergency room, the first visit, he wasn't showing any signs of neurological distress. 4 or 5 hours later, when I went back, he was in extreme distress. He had a temperature of 105 and his eyes were red. And he was gasping in pain. He was suffering clearly too much. So I made the decision to put him down. When I got home from the hospital, I pulled some cards, which I'm going to share with you at the end, because I asked him to send me a message, and he did. But last night, I was in the midst of my grief. I was thinking about how we manifest things with our thoughts. We manifest our lives and everything that comes in, and positive and negative. So here I am in the midst of grief. All these negative emotions are coming up. Am I manifesting awful things? Because I'm so unhappy, I don't have positive emotion, but I have to grieve. I have to go through that process. I have to feel these things, as we all do when we're grieving. So I asked that of the universe, and the answer that came back very simply was, grief is love. Clearly, we don't feel grief if we don't love what we've lost. Negative emotions involve hate, and there's no hate in my grief. There could be. We can feel hateful. We can feel very angry in our grief, and great sorrow, and a lot of negative emotions. Powerless, defeated, worthless, helpless, fearful. Those are all negative emotions, and a lot of them we do feel during grief. But my sorrow is about love. And the important thing to remember is to be careful of the self-talk. Like, for example, saying I miss you is okay. Saying I'm so sad without you is okay. Saying it hurts so much is okay. Sorrow is okay. What's not okay is saying I failed my dog. That I didn't protect him. That I didn't do enough. I didn't find the answer. And I feel guilty because I didn't save him, and I don't know what killed him. Self-blame and guilt are not okay. Those are destructive. Saying he knows how much I love him and how hard I tried to comfort him and save him, and he knows that now, for sure. I believe he knew it at the time too, but that's okay. I did do everything I could, and I spent almost $7,000 trying to save him. If I could have had an answer and he could have been saved, I would have spent more. I fought hard and I worked tirelessly to find an answer, but it wasn't meant to be. And I believe that we had a soul contract, that we worked this out before we came here, and that now he's on the other side working for me. He enriched my life. Another, question I've thought about, because I've lost my husband, I've lost my parents, and I've lost other pets in the past, and it all hurt. I've asked, is the loss of a pet worse, or is it easier than losing a person? When we're in the midst of it, I don't think it matters. Grief is grief. Because if you love a person or an animal, when you lose them, grief is grief. They don't compare. There is no comparison. So I asked him to send me a message. And I gotta find I put him away here. Oh, this is what I pulled from. It just seemed appropriate. And I've put him back here, but I pulled it this morning. I pulled him last night, and then I pulled it this morning. I'll show you what happened, and then I put him back. But the two cards that I pulled last night, the first one, that came out of the deck, there were two. I just said, send me a message. And the first one that came out was, yes, I put them back in a weird order. But anyway, the first one that came out was rest. Take a time out, give myself a break, and let myself feel these emotions, and let myself grieve. Let myself miss him. But without self-blame. Which kind of goes into the next one that came up. Forgiveness. Forgive myself for what I didn't do, because I did everything I could. So those were the two cards that came up. So this morning, when I pulled them back out, and I ended up putting them back because I didn't do the video when I thought I was going to do it. Wasn't sure I was going to do it. But when I went to take those two cards out, the next one underneath came up as well. And it's very telling. This is what came up. Oh, wrong way. Well, that's the other side of the deck. But this is what came up. Very clear message. if you're grieving the loss of a pet or any kind of grief, I hope that you can give yourself some time to grieve in peace and not blame yourself. Watch your self-talk. It's okay to feel sorrow, but don't blame yourself for anything you didn't do. I hope this helps you, and I send all my love.